there is a joy in me each time I have to sit down and do an updated version of all of this MEXT videos. The MEXT Japanese Government Scholarship is around the corner. It's going to open up soon. And as you already know, I am a MEXT grantee. I did my bachelor's and master's at the University of Tsukuba. I did it for free. And I've done a ton of videos helping you all, holding your hand to help you make sure you get your own MEXT scholarship. So I'm excited to do an update of this. I'm going to be telling you all just general information about the scholarship, the benefits of it. There's a playlist on this channel. Watch it for everything MEXT related. I created some worksheets about it. I'll put a link in the description box, and probably I may update this worksheet. So to me, I always say the MEXT recipe is worksheet together with this video playlist. You watch it, you can put up a good fight. And one thing I want to let you all know, you guys, your best thing you can do is put up a good fight. The MEXT scholarship is fully funded. It's done all parts of the world, extremely competitive. The chance that you are going to get it at first shot is you have to fight. You have to fight, you guys. So I'm not here to be mushy and tell you all, oh, you can get it. It is going to be a fight. So the only thing that I can do for you is give you the resources to put up a good fight. So let us start with the 2026-2027 MEXT Scholarship Playbook. You can see how excited I am, right? Yes, I am excited. So let's talk about how much you're going to get. It's a fully funded scholarship. So of course, you get full tuition, round-trip airfare, monthly stipend, that amount depends on what level, bachelor's, master's, or PhD. Then the expectation from them is you're going to be a cultural ambassador, a future bridge leader, and you're going to give academic contribution. The reason why I want to really stay on this a little bit is to tell you all the goal of the scholarship provider. One of the things that students do when they are thinking about studying abroad and scholarships is they think about me, what I want my studies to be paid for. You have to think about it from the perspective of the scholarship provider. What is their goal? What do they want to achieve? And how can you help them achieve their goal? A scholarship is not charity. Most people always think about it like, oh, I want this. No. The scholarship provider also has a goal to achieve. And it is your job to be able to raise your hand and say, look at me. I am going to help you achieve that goal. That is what you have to be aiming towards. All right, you guys, I am just going to take a minute here to tell you all about my database. My database is here. It has everything that you need in order to study abroad, move abroad, everything from start to finish to help you do your applications. So definitely go ahead, sign up for the database, get up every day, log in 1 or 2 hours, choose a scholarship or choose a graduate assistantship, choose whatever you're eligible for. Use the CV samples to write yours, use the SOP samples to write yours, work on it in case it gets difficult. Use ChatGPT to ask it questions, and then you submit. That was my formula that I used to get 4 fully funded scholarships. And if you do it exactly as I'm telling you, by the end of this year or early next year, you are going to get your own scholarship. The link is in the description box. Click on it, get into focus, work, and good luck. So they have here this things that students say: the anime trap, never list anime manga as your primary motivation, MEXT seeks researchers and diplomats, not fans. Frame interest through specific research that can only happen in Japan. Yes. And there was a time when I used to work with students applying for MEXT, and I always told the students, do not think about, oh, I love Japan because I grew up watching anime. That's not it. This is a fully funded scholarship, serious business. They're going to be paying millions towards your studies. You don't want to show up talking about anime and manga. Like, are you kidding me? No, they don't want you to see how can you justify you wanting to do this particular research in Japan? And as I said already, it is not charity. What are you going to do for them? What can you provide them? Those are the questions that they want you all to answer. So, of course, April, May, that is when the documents are going to be available. To be honest, this actually varies. I think from like March, depending on the country, things start becoming available for students to apply. June, primary selection. Oh my God, I still remember the email that I got. And then August, you have to start applying for a letter of admission from the university. And then you have the September deadline. Then you get the final result. So the pro tip here, the September 1st deadline is Japan Standard Time. An email sent at 12:05 on September 2nd is just an automatic rejection. Submit it early. The reason why this is important is because unlike so many countries where people are on Of course, countries are on different timings, but Japan is 9 hours ahead of so many countries. Well, if you're in Asia, then it's different. But put it this way, Japan is ahead of several countries time zone wise. That is why you do not wait towards the deadline in order to do anything. Don't do it. Like, just don't do it. Do all of your things ahead of time, because if you wait for that final day, if it says the office closes at 3 p.m. Japan Standard Time, that is probably when you are still sleeping wherever it is that you are located. So do not even wait for that final week. Get everything done at least 1 week earlier, okay? So now let's talk about surviving the paperwork. You need the context, you need a theme, and you need a program, okay? So the context, we are talking about the past and present field of study. This I actually explained detailedly in the worksheets. There's a whole process on how to write this documents and how to think about it. You really have to be clear about it. Then the theme, the specific problem that you want to solve, your research interest. What is your research interest? You have to be specific with that. And then the methodology and the timeline. What are you going to be doing when you get to Japan? Maybe you get to Japan April 2027, right? From April to May, what will you do? From May to June, June to July. Break it down, or you can break it down into quarters because you're coming in second quarter. So second quarter, what are you going to do? Third quarter, what will you do? You have to break it down in that form. And if you're a master's or PhD student, you know exactly the form that I am talking about. I discuss it more in those worksheets. So the Japan relevance test, this is very important. In your research, if your research can be done in your home country, you feel, you must prove why Japanese resources and labs are essential. I remember doing a video about writing your statement of purpose, and what they say in that as advice is that you need to stalk the university's website. Stalking, that is, you have to be able to justify why this university, why these professors, what are the things about the university, like what are the things about this that is so specific to this particular university or to Japan that you have to do it. You could go study in the US, UK, Australia. Why Japan? You need to be able to prove that as detailedly and as succinctly as possible, okay? So let's talk about writing your winning research proposal. Introduction, make sure you provide context for non-experts. I worked with a student last year, and he was doing something about carbons and clean energy, and I remember reading his intro and I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So of course there is a case to be made about, let's say you are your major, you use a lot of jargons. Good, you use a lot of jargons, but someone who is not of your major should be able to read your research proposal and understand what you're talking about, right? So when you use a lot of jargons where only those within your field are able to understand it, remember you're submitting this to an embassy. The people in the embassy are not geology specialists or whatever specialists to know those things. So for you to be able to cut through, you need to make sure that regular folks can understand what you are writing about, else you're out. Problem statement, the specific gap that you are trying to fill, very important. Methodology, tools, data, analysis methods. What are you going to be using? You need to list that out. And then the benefit to Japan and the home country. I think that this is some of the things that this benefit to Japan and your home country is something that I think is very specific to the MEXT Japanese government scholarship. But you also, going back to what I was saying earlier, that idea of scholarship is not charity. There's a goal they want to accomplish. And how can you help them achieve their goal? How do you explain that? You have to think about it when you go through the process. Cite Japanese professors. Show you have read papers from Japanese universities. It improves your know-how in the landscape. That is actually very, very true. Like, have you read some papers of Japanese professors? What were they writing about? Why? How does that tie to your studies? I remember someone was talking. There was a student last year that was writing about, it was a marriage culture, I think in Mauritius, and she was talking about the similarities between women's rights in Mauritius versus Japan and the family names. And I was like, oh my God, this is so interesting, because I never thought about that. That is not something I'd ever thought about. And I was like, that's amazing. And actually she made it through. All right, so something for y'all to remember, All right, the written exams, the specific of the objective filter. So you have the research students, English and Japanese. So this is like masters and PhD students. Undergraduate students, oh, you all are in for some exams, you guys. You all are going to have to write exams and exams and exams. Undergraduate students, you have to write English, math, Japanese, science, chemistry, biology, physics, biology, chemistry, depending on what you want to study. English is very like critical. High scores can save you low Japanese scores. Actually, to be honest, when I wrote my exam, my focus was the English test because it was 60 questions, 60 minutes. So I knew that I had to perform perfect there. Japanese, I went in there, wrote my name. It was multiple choice. I was just doing A, B. I did not know any Japanese. I knew no Japanese at all. And I submitted. I didn't submit a blank paper. I just chose randomly and submitted. But the English was where I knew that is the fight. That is the fight because everyone that is coming there is trying to do well at the English. So I really knew that I had to perform really, very, very well. And I did my best there and it paid off. It paid off. So Japanese is vital for undergraduates, but bonus points for researchers. Yeah, so it's just bonus points. But also for the undergraduate students, you also do not have to worry a lot because most of y'all will come here and you're going to go through language. You're going to do your program most of the times in Japanese. So you will start from scratch. You're going to learn. Okay, what is the tip here? Download past papers. You can, if you go to the website, I actually have it in the worksheets, but if you go to the website Study in Japan, you go to the archives, you can find past questions. If you go to the JASO website, you can also find past questions. Use those past questions to practice as much as possible. Now let us go to the most interesting part. No, not the most interesting part, the interview. Room mechanics. So you have the embassy staff, the professor, and then embassy staff. This is exactly how my room was. It was an embassy staff, the professor, my embassy, and then me. I was sitting at the corner. This is a perfect. This illustration here is perfect. You're seated, and then there are 3 people in front of you. Bow at the doorway. That is Japanese method of greeting. You have to bow, and then you can say yoroshiku onegaishimasu, which is like, thank you for having me. Let us start the process. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. You can say that. Then wait to be seated and then make eye contact as you answer your questions. One of the things that I'm going to tell you all that happened to me was throughout my time that I was preparing for these exams, for the interview, I was going through, okay, they may ask this, they may ask that, but something that I checked just, I'll say a minute before it was my turn to go in, I checked the names of the universities that I had chosen. And I was just skimming through. I was like, oh yeah, what were the names of? I wasn't looking at it mostly from the perspective of they may ask this question. I was just flipping through papers and I was like, oh yeah, what were the names of the universities? Guess what? One of the first questions when I got in was, so what are the names of the universities that you have chosen? And I was like, oh my goodness. No one could prepare me for the shock of that was going to be the first question. I was like, and then I just listed all of them, 1, 2, 3, because that was like the last thing I checked before going into the hall. Mind-boggling. These are the type of things that when you hear happen, you are like, maybe there is something called destiny. Maybe if your faith, if your path in life says you're going to get something, you're going to get it, no matter how, because it makes no sense that I had never checked for that answer. Then I checked for it 1 minute before getting in, and then I went there, and that was like one of my first questions. Mind-blowing. Anywho, let us go to diffusing the kill questions. What if you don't get the scholarship? What do you say? I have a plan B, but I'll apply again. This research must happen in Japan. This is you justifying why Japan. And another question, what projects is Japan doing in your country? Mention the specific projects, for example, JICA and other diplomatic initiatives. Mention it. Why Japan and not the USA? Focus on specific Japanese tech archives. Never just say high quality. High quality means nothing. Everywhere is actually high quality. Limitations of your research. Admit one limitation, but explain how you will overcome it. So how are you going to get your S factor? Let us look here. You're going to have the breach narrative, okay? So you have your academic goal, you have the practical outcome, and then there's the ambassadorship, and then there's you in the middle. So your job is, how are you going to contribute to your field? How is it going to add towards your career and the return on investment? And how are you going to be culturally adaptable to Japan as well as to your home country? Can you become that bridge? Going back to the question I was talking about, the idea of this is not charity. What can you do for them? You have to be able to do something for people, okay? And then link every answer back to one of these 3 points. You are an investment, you're not a charity case. So is it going to contribute to your field? Is it going to have a something good for your career? Is there a high return on investment? Is this going to help you sort of be a good link between Japan and your country? You always have to keep going back to that, okay? Now let's talk a little bit about undergraduate applicants. Undergraduate applicants is like special case, because that's why they say the fork in the road. You have a preparatory year, and then you have the preparatory path, and then you have the direct placement path. The preparatory path, you have 1 year Japanese. That's what I was talking about. You are actually going to learn Japanese, plus high school subjects, and then build language and network. You're going to do that. Then you have direct placement. You start university immediately, but it requires a higher level of Japanese speaking. And so many people actually do that 1 year of Japanese, because many people do not speak, unless students will come from like Indonesia and Asian countries where they are exposed to learning the Japanese language. Then sometimes they can just go in directly. But most people, they do that 1 year of Japanese language. Do not fear the prep year. It is your survival kit. And let me share with you all a tip, you guys. Let me share with you all a tip. If you're going to make it in Japan, learn the Japanese language. In fact, learning a foreign language of the country that you're moving to is a plus. Like, do not run away from it. Just as you've made up your mind that you want to go abroad and live in that country, just know that you should make up your mind to learn that language. It will save you so much. Learn from me, okay? Do not be me, okay? Now let's talk about, in case you do not make it. You all know I started this video by telling you all, this is the 1% of the 1% of the 1% that make it. But that does not mean all hope is lost. There is the alternative route, which is a university recommendation. So you have the MEXT by university recommendation route, okay? So the embassy track that is opening up soon, you apply via the consulate, you travel to the capital, you choose a university later, and then that is the steps. But for the university recommendation, you apply to a professor, you get like a remote interview, then you choose the university, and then like few people get those options. So if you don't get the embassy route, do not lose hope. Go through find a professor, speak with the professor. If your research is interesting and the professor says yes, you can actually go through that professor, okay? So for university recommendation, you must have a professor's backing before MEXT sees your application. That is so true. It is one before the other. You cannot mix it up, okay? So how to lose immediate disqualifiers, late submission. As I said already, Japanese do not play about time at all. And then if your reason for wanting to study in Japan is anime, manga, you're going to be, you will not be chosen. And then zero language prep, and applying to Japanese programs with no ability. Choose programs in English. That's just the best way to say, like, how do you want to go study in the Japanese language if you don't know no Japanese? And then vague topics with no specific ties to Japan, you're going to be like booted out. And then incomplete documents, of course you are going to be booted out, okay? So all of this gives you everything that you need in order to succeed in your MEXT 2026, 2027. I wish you all good luck. You have any questions, let me know in the comment section. Watch the entire playlist. I have been interviewing tons of people how to get MEXT. Good luck, you guys, and see you all in Tokyo.